Have you ever been able to identify someone that truly matches your ideal version of you? Is that person you right now? If not, you're not alone, because I feel the same way. My name is Aveya. Welcome to AveyaZ, where fantasy and storytelling bridge the gap between connection and an undeniable will. In my life, I was forced to be the protagonist of my own story in order to achieve greater relationships, improve my overall health, and honestly, just improve everything in general. I've created a lore that matches along with the channel's name to provide symbolism along what I stand by. This will be done primarily through storytelling. And in the world that I have created, this world is called Velaris. Now let's do a deep dive on the first protagonist of the story in AveyaZ. This is Avant Zendelga. Let me first discuss his overall appearance. Avant's purpose is to be my ideal variation of myself in a fantasy world. This world happens to be heavily magic oriented. More on that later. But for now, we're going to continue to focus on Avant. Avant's appearance is similarly based off of my own real life appearance. Avant's outfit is based off of my favorite professional attire, that is a turtleneck suit variation. In this case, we have a mixture of the suit that is designed based off of half of a suit in terms of a suit jacket and also a pea coat in this case. And then as you can tell, we also have that turtleneck that is underneath the armor platings. I personally have fully slicked back hair, and in 99% of the time when it comes to anime appearances, which this is based off of, in terms of the design, this is going to be a more anime-like appearance overall. The idea of anime appearance, they tend to have their hairstyles look way better, and if you've ever attempted yourself to try and get an anime-like appearance, it's really hard to pull off. So when you look at the way his hair is styled, it's got a little bit more volume to it compared to mine, but overall you get the gist. Because I chose a more professional attire, a look, and appearance, even though it's a heavily magic oriented world, there is a lot of combat mechanics that are going to come into play here. Particularly, as you can tell again with the armor platings, the armor platings are actually going to be a core identifier to his class. The armor platings are to resemble his fighting style characteristics that go beyond his nobility status. Professional, yet formidable. Just as a quick glance, when you really look at Avant altogether, he looks like an important person. Someone who stands above the world altogether. It just so happens that red is my favorite color, and that's how I started to really create the contrast in Avant altogether. So you have these dark crimson eyes, along with the dark crimson hair, and then all their miscellaneous parts on him, again with the turtleneck being the dark crimson as well as the dark crimson gloves. So it really just shows a complete contrast against the rest of his overall surroundings, and it really gives him a little bit of extra life to his character. One final look at his overall appearance, it matches perfectly with the tone of the story, or rather the theme of the story, and that is chaos and divinity. If you had to identify a color symbolism that matched with chaos more than anything else, it's going to be deep violet tones or just really dark purple tones. Hence the reason for the flame design to be associated with those purple color tones. Again, going back to the... Oh my gosh, what was that? And again, going back to the idea that it's a very magically infused world, can you tell what his magical affinity is in this case? That's right, it's going to be fire. Avant is a flame-bound warrior held in this world. Now that we have finished discussing all about Avant's appearance and the ideal character that I created for myself, we're going to discuss more into the lore of why this came to be. And I don't know why I keep turning back to the screen here, because I'm not showcasing him anymore, because now this is back to me and you. In the world of Velaris, this grand magical world that exists here, Avant is a prince of the Chaos Realm Zarvale, in that I'm going to have to dive in to actually realize that I'm spelling everything correctly here. So that is the Z-A-R-V-H-E-Y-L, Zarvale. Sounds exactly how it's pronounced, but some of this stuff can be really hard to actually write down on something. There are two royal houses that exist in the Chaos Realm of Zarvale, particularly at its capital, Velgreth. We have House Zendelga, and the other house will be House Zavareth. Say that 3 times fast. House Zendelga, House Zavareth, House Zendelga, House Zavareth. The Chaos Realm Zarvale lies the center point of the plot entirely, at its capital, Velgreth. And in this world of Velaris, the major pinpoints of the particulars around the world are going to be called realms. Velgreth, also called the Fount of Ruin, has this centerpiece here that really highlights the name of it. And it basically looks like a fountain that exists in the center part of the capital. And in particular, this part otherwise known as the Chaos Vein that's coming through this Fount of Ruin, this is going to be your Chaos Mana, or as if the will of Chaos itself that exists within this capital city. And it drains off into the other parts of the outer borders. Within the present history of the Zendelga bloodline, they happen to be attached by a curse. This particular curse is tied to its very soul of the beholder, and this is known as bloodrage. Bloodrage is part of a 3-phase Chaos Mana transformation of power, and this is called Chaos Resurgence. The third phase is called bloodrage, and this leads into a complete loss of self, as if possessed by the will of chaos itself. Though with great power comes with an even worse curse. Avant is not the progenitor of this curse, meaning that he was not the originator of it, but really he's a continuing beholder. This is a complete contrast from the first phase of Chaos Resurgence, which is otherwise known as an awakened control of power. Of course, there's going to be so much more to attach to the lore, but let's bring back to our lovely guy himself, Avant Zendelga, and let's really go back to discuss more on his overall personality. His personality is going to, of course, reflect a lot about myself as well, or really the ideal variation of what I one day hope to become within myself. Avant is a warrior of a strategic mind and a stoic demeanor. He is the epitome of what is called the ENFJ personality trait, based off of the 16 personalities identifier. He radiates charisma, and he always considers people's emotions first. In a combat situation, the path that he will always advocate for is going to be the one that ends up saving the lives of the most people. Though Avant takes into consideration of people's emotions, he undoubtedly uses logic to confirm his decisions. As a leader, he allows others to be heard, and this allows others to be drawn to him through his charisma. People tend to follow his ideas over time due to his drive and positivity. He is someone who has a natural gravitational pull of creating harmony in the worst situations. Though Avant is this confident person, his very presence is a danger to society because of the curse of blood rage that lies within him, and from time to time, he receives thrashback for it. The story implements a major class system that will be discussed in full in the future. The protagonists, the two that exist, are represented by a brand new class type that is never before seen until this very moment, and this is going to be called the Bloodrage. The Bloodrage are wielders of swords and axes simultaneously. They are the masters of controlled aggression, hence the meaning behind raw power and controlled accuracy. Over time, it became apparent that Avant's power was not in alignment with a traditional Bloodrage, and it needed to be renamed something else entirely based off his attributes. Therefore, he became officially recognized as the Ravager class. The Ravager is a brutal melee fighter with strong magic manipulation. All members of the Zendelga bloodline have access to their royal weapon of choice, and that is Zerun. Zerun is a weapon that actually will morph into the attributes of the wielder. Therefore, many of the times in this case, it will actually morph to the unique class associated to that person. For Avant's showcase, it is more elegant by design. Though I don't have a picture of Zerun in this moment, that will come in the future as well. Avant's second weapon of choice, because remember, as a Ravager, still a Bloodrage and a wielder of both swords and axes simultaneously, and masters of controlled aggression, just a step above it, Avant's second weapon that he wields is a Lurvad, and this is going to be represented more aligned with his destructive chaos. So therefore, the two weapons of Zerun and Lurvad, Zerun, a fallen royal sword that's in alignment with the elegance, and the other part of his half, where it's destructive chaos in a Lurvad. My purpose in creating Avant in this story was because I wanted to create a visual of the type of person that I inevitably want to become in my life. It just so happens that my favorite genre of films or games tends to be fantasy or otherworldly by design. And because I'm so thorough, it ends up being rather intense. I want all of you, dear viewers, to find what truly resonates within you. Find your flame that drives you farther than you ever thought you could. This is my example of what I want to be in my lifetime. I have managed to become my own best friend, and I believe in myself beyond any doubts that could ever exist in my life. Now it's time for you to find the same. Create your persona, find your purpose, and enlighten the world around you. I am an aspiring voice actor, and I believe in the voices of the people lies a very powerful influence. I intend to use my voice to better the world and to change the hearts of many, one person at a time. Are you ready for a preview? Here it goes. I am Avant Zendelga, full of internal struggle, but driven to find peace. This power is not a gift. It is an unyielding debt, and tonight, it's time to pay. My control is the only thing standing between you and oblivion. Don't test its limits. Soldiers of chaos, stand with me. I need you now more than ever before. Who will you judge? If not now, there's an unwritten rule in my world. I don't give up on people. Not now, not ever. She's not just important to me. I cannot see myself without her in my life. Freya believes that there is a future that exists for me, where people will actually see me for who I really am. But can that really happen? It was in this very moment that I knew something was terribly wrong. Freya, no matter what happens, stay with me.